Welcome to the Arbutus Analyzer tutorial series. This tutorial will discuss how to create and use shared folders with Arbutus Analyzer. Shared folders are a simple concept. The idea behind shared folders is sometimes there are objects, whether it's a layout, a procedure, or a workspace, which is used across multiple different projects. This could be because it's your own personal calculation that you have to apply to several different tables, or maybe it's because there's a group working on a particular collaboration, and rather than doing copying and pasting or importing and duplicating all of these objects, it's a lot easier to simply put them in one repository, either on your hard drive or on the network or on your server, and then have all of the members who need to have access to this particular information simply access that folder. An example of this would be a personal share. There are three individual types of shared folders. The concept is the same. The application applies to the individual, the group, or the enterprise. In this case, the individual would be a personal share. If I add a personal share, I can give it any old name I want. I'll just come up with something here on the fly. And then all you do is you point at the folder that's physically located on your hard drive. Where am I storing all of this information? In this case, I'm going to put this information on my shared folder, and I'm going to choose to apply this only to this project. When I click OK, you'll notice that in the overview, a different folder appears with a little icon. A little person in the left-hand corner appears. This indicates that this is a special type of folder known as a shared folder. A shared folder allows me to keep information across multiple different projects instead of having to do copy and paste or imports, as I mentioned before. An example is this procedure. I've created a little simple procedure, fairly contrived, to basically illustrate the point. If I run the procedure, it asks me to choose a table, which I'll do, and it asks me to choose a character field, and again I'll do that. And all this simply does is it's a little procedure which calculates how much physical data is in that character field. So it basically strips away all of the trailing blanks and gives me the actual length of the physical data. And in this case, 5 bytes is the answer. Now, as I mentioned, this is a contrived example, but you could have procedures or calculations that are stored in workspaces, or you could have tables which you use across multiple different projects, and you want to have access to those quickly and easily. All you need to do is take the object that you're looking to share, drag it into the shared folder, and there it is. If you wanted to move some other information, let's say I'll move some table information in this case, and I will move that Levenstein procedure as well, which uses those two tables. I now have access to that information across all of my individual projects, if it was the case that I wanted to have access to those items across several different projects. If I go to the Share menu item, I can manage my shared folders. In this case, I only have one showing here. I'll just update it. Again, I chose to apply this to only the current project folder, but for personal shares, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You would want to apply those to several or all of your projects. To select all projects, you just take the checkbox off and don't fill in anything here. I'll click on OK. I'll click on OK again, and you can see that for this individual project, the information is there, but if I were to switch to a different project, it also appears automatically. I didn't have to copy and paste, I didn't have to import, I didn't have to do any of that stuff. All you do is you select a location on your physical hard drive where you want to put these shared objects. You take the shared objects from your desktop project folder and you drag it into the shared folder in your overview, and then you choose which projects you want to display this information with. As mentioned, if you wanted to tie this to only a couple or a few projects, I'll just manage my shared folder. I'll update, and in this case I'll elect to have this available for the Synergy and the Videos projects. So I should have this available for 2 projects now. You can see it's still in my Synergy project, and if I go to the Videos project, there it is. However, if I go to a third project that I did not specify, in this case I'll go to the Forensic one, it does not appear. If I did want it to appear for Forensic, I have a couple of options again. I could simply update my shared folder, either put a comma immediately followed by the project name, or I could just take the flag off and apply it to all of my projects. And there we have it. So the concept is pretty straightforward. The application is dependent on the user group. As I mentioned, when you do a shared folder, you can apply it at the personal level, at the team level, or at the enterprise level. I'll create a team share now just to illustrate how that works. It's essentially the same concept. It's just that instead of on my hard drive, I'm going to put this on a network drive. And that way, multiple people in the group can all point at the network drive and folder that's been set up. You can set up the appropriate securities so that maybe you have one administrator type person who has read-write access to that folder, and other individuals who are accessing that information off of that drive or that folder only have read access. So they can't touch anything. They can't harm your scripts, your procedures. All they can do is run them. If I were to create a team share, for instance, I could call this, let's do this, investigative group. And I'm going to go to the Arbutus team share location, and I'm going to click on OK. You can see now I have a different icon. Okay, I've got 2 people there showing up at my icon, the investigative group icon. And let's just say that I wanted to move this information now from my personal share into the team share. I'll just simply drag and drop those items. I'll leave the longest actual data in field procedure in my own personal area, but I will move the Levenstein algorithm comparing the employee addresses with the vendor addresses. I'll put that into the investigative group team shared folder. Now when I go back to the videos project, you can see that both of these particular shared folders appear because I hadn't tied them down to just one particular shared folder. Again, that's done by the Share menu, Manage Shared Folders. I'll go to my personal share information. I'll update this to be only for that project, and the investigative group, I will make that available for all. I'll just leave that as is. Now, what this allows us to do is to easily share information across an organization based on user groups, based on teams, and the more important and the more flexible aspect of this is you can also do this across the country, across organizations, using an enterprise share. An enterprise share requires an Arbutus server, an Arbutus Windows server specifically, and what you need to do is to create a profile, install the server version, and then create the shared folder on that server. And then what you can do is have people accessing the server remotely from various different states, various different cities, various different countries even, all around the world, as long as they have the login credentials. Shared folders, again, are powerful and an easy way to share information. You can also, when we manage the shared folders, I can simply remove the information from my overview. When I do that, the overview is dynamically updated, and the information is not lost, it's not deleted. I can simply go back, I can add in my team share again. I'll just call this one team share, don't have to call it the same name every time. And what I'll do is I'll point it at the team share folder on the network where I put all this information, and sure enough, there it is. It's back. I didn't delete it. It didn't disappear. These are virtual folders in the overview, which map to physical data stored in a folder or in a server. You can choose to show them in your overview or not by removing them. You can choose to show them across multiple projects by specifying the project names separated by commas, or you can apply them to every single project by just not tying the shared folder to any particular project. For more information on using Arbutus shared folders, please check the Analyzer help or contact your local support.